we go. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Virtual Visioncon 2020. I am your host, Zach Wilson, but you didn't come here to see me today. You came to see the indomitable voices of many of your beloved characters and just all around some of the most talented people in the known and unknown universes. I am joined by Rikki Simons and Horvitz. How are you doing today, gentlemen?
Wonderful, thank you. Did you see how I landed in the interwebs? It's like,
you just
yeah.
Every time I do a video, and I actually get my hands in frame, I'm like, why are my hands so big?
Why are my hands so big?
I'm not holding them in front of me. These are just the size of my hands. It's ridiculous.
Me too.
Yeah.
Fred Astaire had extremely large hands. That's a little known fact. Well, it's a big guy. If you notice, every time he's dancing, they're kind of bent like this because they were like paws. They're like giant paws.
Would he shelter himself from the rain with his hands?
Yes.
Oh, that's handy. Because he was always dancing in the rain.
In your Easter paws.
See coming from a guy who's got like microscopic hands, I mean, I could fit into a keyhole, sure, but like when protecting myself from rain, nothing.
That's good for unlocking locks, though. If you could slip your pinky in.
Absolutely, just boom, done.
Yeah, no one can handcuff you.
Definitely not. Now, gentlemen, I wanted to start with the same question I kind of ask any of my celebrity guests that I interview. Give me, and one at a time preferably, give me the elevator pitch, the origin story of Richard Horvitz and Rikki Simons.
Oh, Richard should go first.
Okay.
The elevator pitch. What does that mean, Zach? What do you want to know?
I didn't mean the elevator pitch. It just meant like the superhero origin story.
Were you born in an elevator?
How did you become the Richard Horvitz?
Oh, yes. Well, okay. Well, I was named that by my parents. It's a tradition in our family that my mother and father gave us names. And
you too?
Yeah. Isn't that weird? And it's a tradition. And that happened in the mid 1960s, long before most of your listeners were born.
No one was even alive back then. You're a liar.
Yes, right. And I was born in Los Angeles in a downtown hospital that's no longer there. And from there, I started acting on commercials and stage when I was 10.
Oh, I think you were going to say like 10 seconds after birth.
I was 10 seconds after birth. I slipped out and went, whoa, can you guys wash me off? I got to get on stage. I'm going to miss my call.
Makeup.
They're like, wait, we forgot to cut the umbilical cord. Don't look. Ta-da!
So did you just one day just materialize into doing acting and voiceover work, or was it just a gradual process?
I wanted to be an actor since I was 5. That I knew for certain because I was a television addict. I still am. I love TV. I'm totally addicted to television. And as a kid, I used to watch Gilligan's Island, and my all-time favorite shows were Get Smart is my favorite show. And then there was a show called Flip Wilson and Tom Jones. They're not the same, 2 different shows. One was called Flip Wilson, the other was called Tom Jones. Or as my mom would call him, Tom Jones from England. And I loved those shows so much, I said, that's what I wanted to do. And so when I was about 10, we met someone in a play that I was doing at my church, believe it or not. And that man had written all the songs to the Aristocats for Disney. And
wow.
And he had an agent. He said, I'd like you to introduce you to my agent. And that's how I got in. And then I started in musical theater, which is truly my first love is musical theater.
Really?
And I started musical theater in the play Oliver. Rikki, does this look like I have dirt on my lip here? Or is it just my beard? Okay.
No, it's just your beard.
No, it looks like sandpaper.
It is sandpaper.
Oh.
I grow sandpaper.
I've gotten a similar problem earlier today.
Yes.
So you've gotten into woodworking?
Well, I shaved this morning, so this is already just today.
Oh,
that's when I cut the feed
on
one of the panels, I was like, oh, dang, that's that. So I just jumped into my bathroom and I just shaved real quick and I came back. But,
So from there, I did a play called Oliver with Dick Shawn, who was in the movie Producers, and Shani Wallace, who was in the original 1968 musical, who played Nancy. And from there, I went into commercials and eventually into film and television. I did all back then there was only 3 networks, so I was on sitcoms pretty often. And then in the 80s, I did a bunch of teen films. One was called Summer School with Mark Harmon, directed by Carl Reiner and Kirstie Alley.
I saw that.
Courtney Thorne. So, yes, you did. You were just a child.
I was a child, yeah.
And then about 1988, 89, I started pursuing voiceover. And I guess the first like full-time voiceover job I got was, I did a lot of other jobs like guest stars. My first like full-time series was Alpha 5 on the Power Rangers. And then shortly after I did Daggett on the Angry Beavers and then Zim and then Billy and Mandy and a bunch of other ones in video games. And then I met Rikki.
Yeah, I remember that.
I met Rikki in 1999, Rikki? 98?
You know, we auditioned separately for Zim. So I auditioned.
We were both on the show Friends at the time. You were playing Ross and right. I was playing Joey.
You know, I've never watched an episode of Friends in my life.
Thank you.
I'm the only person. I saw the commercials and I thought that's not for me. So I never watched any of them.
Honest to God, if the two of you were actually those characters that you were joking about, I would have watched the show.
Thank you. We should have been.
Right?
I would have watched it too.
I would have spent the money, that's for sure.
That's actually a perfect segue to you, Rikki. So, Rikki, go on. Give us the superhero origin story of Rikki Simons.
Oh, mine's not as exciting as Richard. I was born in Riverside, California. Oh, actually, I was born in the Inland Empire, which is Riverside is a part of. But I wasn't born in Riverside. I was born in Rialto, California.
Is that the Rialto?
The section of it called Fontana, also known as Fontucket, because that's everybody from Kentucky and Oklahoma goes to when they move to California. At least back then.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, Fontucket, they call it.
I didn't know that.
But, yeah, mostly a childhood of gravel pits and being chased by wild dogs. That was
wild dogs. All right. Well, so then where did being chased by wild dogs?
Children calling wild dogs.
I moved to Los Angeles in 1990 when I met my then later wife Tavisha at Disneyland. So
that's so sweet.
Yes, met her at Disneyland in 1990. We got married in 94. But I spent my early 90s besides going to goth clubs with Tavisha. I spent my 1990s. I was originally a fashion journalist for a magazine called Fad Magazine. I would interview fashion designers and musicians and things like that. And Tavisha was a photo stylist for the same magazine. So I would do that at the same time that I would do background acting in movies, whatever would come along. What was great about that is you got a free lunch.
What? Yes,
free
and
lunch.
you got an Oscar.
I was in Argo as an extra, and
that's right.
That got an ensemble cast.
That's right.
I got an ensemble cast Oscar. So technically, only my hair appears in that movie. Technically, my hair.
Show us a little bit of your acting in that movie. Show us what you did. You were being captured at the embassy.
Ben Affleck said blindfold him to somebody else, and then they blindfolded me, and I was dragged down a hallway. Basically going, by 100
genius.
Extras.
Gentlemen, we are joined by Oscar-winning hair, Rikki Simons.
That's right. That's right.
But so yeah, I eventually got cast in. I was doing comics in the 90s with my wife Tavisha. After all, towards the end of the 90s, and that's when I met Jonan Vasquez, the creator of Invader Zim, in 1995 at a convention. We became friends somehow. And he eventually asked me to first color Invader Zim, and then in around 98, he asked me to audition for Gurr, and I did, and then somehow I got it, and then I met Richard, and it's been crazy!
That's right, it has.
And
it has been crazy!
And so on that note, and this was really a question for all three of you, but, since Melissa isn't here, you'll just have to make up the time, because...
where is Melissa? That's unacceptable.
I don't really know, but hey, it happens. But I just want to ask you guys, was the chemistry just natural? Like, did you guys just meld into it and just kind of were friends ever since? Or did it take a little time to build a rapport with one another?
Richard hated me.
Yes, I still hate him. I mean,
Yeah.
come on, let's go. No, to answer your question, young Zach, the answer is Rikki was on the project for a lot longer than I had been on the show. What had happened was there were like 3 other Zims that were considered, and Mark Hamill was one, Billy West, and there was one other.
I don't think I actually got to meet you until 2000.
That's well, we had seen each other at the studio because I was doing Angry Beavers.
Oh, okay.
And you were stalking me, remember?
Right. I remember hiding in the water cooler next to you.
And then just these giant paws kept coming out at me. I'm like, "Hi, I'm Rikki," and so, but yeah, don't riff. What happened was back in the beginning, before they did the pilot, Jonan had wanted me to play Zim. He had known my work as Alpha 5 from Power Rangers, which he liked. And his whole thing was he wanted people with unique voices that weren't like, what was the word, Rikki, that he is not?
Professional.
Professional.
No, that was me. That's what he said about me.
That's right.
For you, it was.
He didn't want voices that were too.
He wanted your voice to be uniquely Zim's.
Yes.
Like no one had recognized your voice specifically as something before.
Yes. And so I went in and I auditioned. And when I first went in, I thought I was reading for the part of Dib, because I thought I was more right for Dib. It was kind of more of the kind of stories I did, which not this time, Zim. But
wow.
Yeah, that was my Andy. No, he said no, we want you for Zim. And so I went in. I was like, well, I really want this show because it was the hot property at the studio at the time. And then they came to me and they said, well, you're already doing Angry Beavers, so we don't want you to do both shows at the same time, so you're out. So I was really bummed. And then I went to do the final season of Invader Zim, and they had already recorded and done the pilot episode for Zim, but they hadn't shipped it to New York. And that's when Jonan came back to me and said, well, you're not on that show anymore. Let's bring you in. And I went in and I dubbed over Billy West's voice. And so one of my stories I've told for many years now is Billy and I are like dear friends, so there was no animosity there. But they always want to say, the never before aired Invader Zim pilot starring Billy West. Well, the fact of the matter is if you watch that, as Rikki will say, it's like 70% is me, 30% is Billy. And I'll start a line and Billy might finish it or vice versa. So it's not all just Billy. It's actually me and Billy.
Yeah, it's literally like you begin to talk and then suddenly he's laughing and then he begins to talk and then you're laughing.
Yes.
It's just really weird.
It's very weird.
If anyone knows both your performances.
By Melissa Fahn.
Who?
Oh, hey.
Melissa Fahn.
Melissa Fahn. I know her.
Hi, Melissa Fahn.
Hi, guys.
Hi.
How are you?
How you doing? I'm sorry. You know what? I am on my home computer and I didn't have the link, and I was back and forth with Chris. Couldn't get a hold of Zach.
I love your glasses. Your glasses are very cool.
Very nice.
Very cool.
Thank you. As are yours. And yours.
Thank you. Mine are just readers.
Because I'm wearing contacts, so.
I know. I should have put contacts in, but I didn't.
So I asked already the two of them, so I'd just like to go straight to you. Give me, first off, hi, how are you?
Hi.
Hi. And secondly, give me the superhero origin story of Melissa Fahn.
Where did you get your powers?
Where did I get my superpowers from?
No, just give me your origin story, how you got into voice acting and just the entertainment industry. Just stuff like that.
Totally. Okay. I got into voiceover many years ago. The first job I ever got was the voice of Betty Boop. And it was a huge, huge thing for my career. And it propelled me into the voiceover world immediately. And I got it because I was doing a day job in between auditions. And it was for a post-production house. And I was answering phones, and they were a commercial editing house, so they dealt with a lot of voiceover casting directors. And I had never done voiceover before. I had auditioned through my theatrical agent for voiceover jobs. And the very first one I'd ever auditioned for, I was a teenager, it was for The Little Mermaid.
Really?
And I got all these callbacks for it. I got to sing for them. And then I got to see all the renderings of Ariel. And before she was even a redhead, they showed me a blonde one, a brunette one, and a redhead one, which I thought was so cool. Needless to say, I didn't get that. But I was going out on auditions, and a casting director, which I'm sure, Richard, you know, and Rikki, you might know her, Elaine Craig.
Lovely.
And she came in one day and this is how long ago this was, and was dropping off samples before they were digitally sending samples, and they were dropping off samples of voices for a spot for my...
I sent a digital stool sample at the time.
You can't get a job that way, Richard.
Oh, now you tell me. No wonder my performance has been poop.
Long story short, she called and said, you know, you've got a great voice. Are you an actor? And I said, yeah, I'm an actor. And I did stage, and I was a singer, and I've done TV and film commercials, but I've never done voiceover. And she said, make me a tape, make me anything, like read like magazines, and like make me a tape, and just like send me anything. And a couple days went by, and I hadn't done the tape. And she said, did you make me a tape? And I said, no. And she said, it doesn't matter. I want you to come over on your lunch break, and we're auditioning for the new role of Betty, for the new actor to take over Betty Boop. And I got it.
So right place, right time.
Right place, right time. And it was awesome. And then that kind of just, it shaped my career, and it propelled me to get great agents, and it got me into the right places at the right times. So
I wanted to get to each one of you to discuss each of you individually, like what you're working on, your experiences, etc. But real quick, I did want to ask, because I already asked the two of them this. So you were on Invader Zim, with Rikki and Richard, and I just wanted to know, was the transition just smooth? Did you guys just jive like instantly, or did it take a bit of time to build a rapport in that chemistry?
Well, I want to be funny and say something funny, like, no, we hated each other.
That's what I said.
Richard hated me.
Yeah. Well, Richard has issues. I'm sorry, Richard. No. No, the answer is there was chemistry right away. And, you know, I think it was 50% us and 50% Jonan assembling us. And he saw who we were and saw the craziness within. And I think he assembled a great group. And I feel like we jumped in, you guys. Do you agree? Like, we jumped in like we knew each other immediately. Yes. And we had great scripts. We had, you know, a freedom in the studio to really create and to really bounce off of each other. There was a lot of that freedom. And I felt like it was kind of magical from the very beginning.
When I started voicing on the show, Jonan used to comment that I was always low key, and then suddenly I would start acting halfway through. But the truth was that I was sort of in shock that I was there every time, because it was my first, you know, voiceover role. I'd only done background acting before that, and when you're in background, you're like one guy in a crowd of 1,000. So I was actually, you know, kind of stunned that I was there every time. So I was quiet because I wasn't sure that it was actually happening, you know. So so I was actually in awe of all of you. I was like, "Ooh!" every time I saw you.
Yeah, but Rikki, you had such a magical presence.
Oh, thank you.
And you were unique in what you brought to the table, and because of your background. And I think that was a really cool thing, that you had such a great artistic background and working for Nickelodeon, and what you brought to the table completely differently.
Thank you. Well, but even before you did the Betty Boop stuff, though, you were doing stage, right? You were already stagey lady everywhere.
She's an amazing singer, and I do this every time we do an interview together. But people don't know, but some may know, that Melissa Fahn is an original cast member of the original Broadway production of Wicked, which Melissa knows is one of my favorite all-time
Really?
musicals. Yes.
Oh my.
And she's on the album. She's on the cast album.
Oh, well.
I hear she can do it, Melissa.
I hear that she can shed her skin as easily as a snake. Thank you.
Yes.
You can't
Thank
sneak
you.
up on me with that. I got chills now.
Rikki knows that I've been taking Zoom acting classes. And that
You've been taking or you've
yes.
been teaching?
No, I've been taking. It's how to act for Zoom. And one of the things you have to learn is how to, like, when the camera freezes,
Oh, you
catch up in real time, you see?
I thought
And then you
actually-
catch up in real time, and it was like, what? See what I've learned?
You slide.
But you have to do the
Yeah.
fast forward. Like
have
you
to do
fast
it,
forward.
yeah, because you got to catch up, right? So would you like to try it? Let's go, Melissa. So you have to be talking. And then you got it up like that. Okay, so you're
Okay,
ready.
all right, I want to try.
Okay,
I wanna
ready?
try.
And you're okay, ready?
Okay, so I'm going to try and I'm going to tell my story about how.
Oh, Melissa froze. Melissa?
Here, I got
Melissa?
And then I yeah!
Rikki, your turn.
Rikki, your turn.
Okay, Rikki, your
I
turn.
don't know really how to do.
Oh, Ricky's froze. Oh, yeah, that's right. All right, Zach, your turn. Ready? So ask us a question.
I don't know if I should. Anyway,
Yes, it's like a,
I'm not. See, I'm no expert like you guys.
You
But
got to practice.
I gotta
right?
practice. I practice. On that note, though, I want to go to each one of you
I was like, but it was like,
so we can discuss your work and then what things you are doing on right now, and you can plug literally anything you want. All right, but Rikki, I'm going to start with you.
Oh, hi. What?
Hi,
What was the
Rikki.
question? Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. What happened?
So
What?
I'm going to take this time to go to each one of you, and you're going to be able to tell me anything that you do individually and things you've been doing after Zim and everything like that, and you can plug anything you want.
Oh,
So
well,
Rikki, I
right
wanna
now, I'm in quarantine.
100%.
There's a
But
lot
I
of
was
that.
really-
how much are you getting paid for that, Rikki?
For your entertainment. So I do love that, when you go to your website, the first thing you see is just your face. It just
My
on
face?
the homepage.
Oh, that's my Rikki Simons. I have two websites. One is
I apologize. I should have
rikkisimons.com.
been more clear.
That's right. rikkisimons.com, yes, has my face.
Okay.
But tabbycat.com, where I have all my work with my wife Tavisha, tavicat.com. That's I have my comics and that I create with Tavisha. Tavisha and I have a comic strip right now at gocomics.com, which is where they have Garfield and all that stuff. It's a syndicated strip. So if you go to gocomics.com/tavicat, TAVICAT, you can see our comic about our cats there. But this Tuesday, starting at 7 p.m. on Twitch, I'm doing a D&D game with my friend Eric Trueheart. It's Eric and I alone. I did an animation for it and everything that came out pretty good. And Eric did a song. It's called One Man Murder Maze. I'm throwing him into a D&D maze all by himself. We've recorded 5 episodes so far. They're only an hour each. Well, the first one's 2 hours. But that'll start on Tuesday on Twitch, and I will post the link on that at my Twitter, Rikki Simons at Twitter. You'll be able to see that there, that linkage.
And then real quick, just one more question before I move on to Richard. What your art, your writing, your voice acting, is there any medium that you prefer to do, or is it all just kind of all-encompassing and just something that I believe Robbie Rist said it the best, it's just an artist being an artist?
That's a good quote. My writing's my favorite thing because it's the most contemplative, because all I really want to do in life is have lots of time to read and write. That's my favorite thing. It's when I have many kids. But so very selfish with my time. So I learned to draw when I was a kid just because I wanted to draw my stories. So I love art, painting, and acting because they all kind of go together. Basically anytime I'm off, if I don't have something going, I write. And I try to write books and I try to write stories, that sort of thing. I have another podcast called Absinthian Kingdom, which you could also find on my sites. where I play all the characters and I write the whole story, and it's about a surrealist city in the Antarctic. So I only do the other stuff because I just want to know how that stuff looks and sounds. So it's all wrapped up in one thing.
All right.
Kinda.
All right. I dig it. All right, Richard.
Yes.
Now, there was two things I wanted to go over plug-wise, and then one question, and you can plug whatever else you want.
Okay.
So first, I wanted to go over something that's a bit more family-friendly before we get to the more adult one. Some kind of joke. It's a new
Yes.
series that you've started, correct?
Yes. So what it is Dean Cameron, who played Chainsaw in the 80s movie Summer School with me. He was also in a thing called Rockula and another thing called Miracle Beach. So Dean Cameron played Chainsaw in a movie I did called Summer School for Paramount back in the 80s. And he and I have been producing partners for a while now. We've done a couple of shorts together. One of them is a thing called Bug, which you see back there. But about 3 years ago, we started producing these shorts called Some Kind of Joke. And what it is it takes classic jokes, old jokes, and we actually shoot it in a narrative and try to disguise it so you don't see the joke coming. So you think you know the joke and how we wrap around it and how we get through it. It was an effort to preserve classic jokes, and comedy jokes was the first thing for future generations. And the other thing is that it became a challenge for Dean and I to be able to shoot these things and not let you get to the punchline too fast. But after we were, had these stay-at-home orders, Dean and I started doing these daily, and we shoot them on Zoom, and we put them up on our Instagram, and we have a YouTube channel. So I am going to ask everyone that's listening, please follow us on Instagram at somekindajoke.com. SOMEKINDAJOKE, not .com, just at some kind of joke, not .com. Even though the show is called Some Kind of Joke, well, Instagram. So I'm asking everyone to please follow us on Instagram at Some Kind of Joke. And also, if you would join our our YouTube channel, which is also Some Kind of Joke. That one's Some Kind of Joke.
And guys, don't worry. All of these links that you're hearing, I'm going to get Chris to have you send to him so he can send me all of them so we can.
Thank you. Yeah, and they're fun. They're short little jokes, and they're fun, and they're funny. And Rikki, good, thank you. Rikki follows them. Rikki, you like them, right?
I do. Yeah, they're really funny.
Yeah,
are they really family friendly though?
Some are, some are not.
Well, more family friendly than the thing we're going to bring up. Because the next thing I want to bring up it's called Hell of a Boss, which the name alone kind of, but it's just. It is side-clenchingly funny. I watched it when you told Chris that you'd like me to bring it up during a physical interview at the next in-person Visioncon. I watched it just because I wanted to be familiar with the content. And I shouldn't have watched it at my college's library because
it is definitely not family friendly in any way, shape, or form. So please
depends on the family.
Yeah, right. Depends on the family.
Exactly, depends on the family. But the creator, Vivian Medrano. Oh, hold on, it's Some Kind of Joke on the line. Some Kind of Joke? Oh, hi, can I call you back? I'm in the middle of an interview.
Oh, I couldn't tell if this was a bit or not.
I'll call you right back. Bye.
Richard, what was that device you just picked up?
Yeah,
I didn't recognize what that thing was.
It's, hold on, this is how I usually communicate, Rikki. Very few people know that I'm actually a ham radio operator.
That's right, you do.
Yes, I am a ham radio. I am a ham radio
Oh no, I forgot.
KM6KMZ, this is,
Are you still doing ham radio?
Yeah,
Breaker. You have to say breaker.
That is actually for, trucker talk. That's kind of shortwave.
Oh.
I mean, that's but I'm a ham radio operator.
It looked a little bit like a phone.
About
it
that.
didn't have a
It looks like
obviously
no. That's what's called a mobile short little radio, and I can speak to Europe on that thing if I wanted to.
Okay.
Oh my god.
Yeah,
but a hell of a boss.
Yes, hell of a boss. So it is. So Vivzie Pop created this thing, and she was a fan of mine from Invader Zim and Billy and Mandy, and Maxwell Adams, who created Billy and Mandy, was doing a little work with her on it, and so through a friend, the friend contacted me and said, hey, this person's a real, fan of yours. Will you do this? I'm like, yeah, sure, And I went in there, and the people that were on it, like Brock Baker and everybody else, they had like millions of YouTube fans and all this stuff, because I'm new to it. I'm grandpa, as they call me, or people are used to saying, okay, boomer to me these days. But so it was a great script. It was a lot of fun. And Vivzy is so talented, and she is a musical theater lover. And so she incorporates that in all of her shows, which, as Melissa will attest, I am like, I live and die for musical theater. That's my first love. So she posted it on YouTube, and like within a week it had over like 16 million views, more than a lot of the TV shows that I had been doing for years. So I was like, wow. So I'm really having fun. We're planning on doing some more. So there's a scoop just off the wire.
This here. All right, and then Melissa. Now, and then after you, don't worry, guys, we're going to go into viewer comments and questions.
Yes,
so don't worry.
You got it.
But Melissa, now, your discography is, very, very big. However, a lot of it has to do with anime, which, of course, I'm a big fan of. Himawari Uzumaki from Boruto, Ryder from Fate Grand Series, Ed Wan from Cowboy Bebop, just to name a few. Is there
Yay!
Yeah. Is there anything just about anime that you really like working with, or are you just a fan of anime in general?
I'll be honest with you. When I first got into anime, I never heard of it. But that was a long time ago. I mean, that was years and years ago. And I had just been doing regular voiceover, and anime, again, voiceover has been, it really came to me, like Betty Boop, kind of like the way that happened was so serendipitous. And so did anime. A friend, this is a good story. A friend of one of my brothers who was also doing voiceover, my brother Tommy, who Richard you met on an audition before
yeah.
the shutdown, right? Or the shutdown. Tommy his day job was working for Saban. Like his day, he would do it at night and transfer reels. And he was working with someone who was working with someone and said, we need some voiceover actors. Doesn't your sister do voiceover? And he was like, yes. So I go to this session. It was like the first thing I know. It was my brother Tommy. Doesn't Richard look like he could be in our family? I know.
Yeah, a little bit. I was thinking that.
I love it. Tommy Richard.
Yeah.
So I go to this session, and it's nothing like you would think. It's like a bunch of actors around like some mics, like what you would do in a group read, like on an original.
Sure.
But it was for anime, and I was like, what's anime? Like, what is it? In that room, very first session, never acted before. He was a musician, Steve Bloom.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Had never done voiceover before, never. And we were all like in the trenches of being in the original LA actors who were doing anime. And so, and that was through Kevin Seymour and Animes. And it was like the beginnings of it in Los Angeles, and that just kind of like fell into my lap. And then I started doing more and more. And then, I mean, I like Cowboy Bebop came to me that way as well because of Kevin Seymour, who oversaw that project, and Mary Elizabeth directed it, and Steve Bloom was on it too, and Wendy Lee and Bo Billingsley, and I mean, I've been very fortunate to have such really wonderful projects come my way and guide me in my career. And but anime is a wonderful part of my career. I would say it's equal parts of my voiceover and studio career. And sometimes I do more anime than I'm doing original animation, and then vice versa. So, but I feel like voiceover, like you said, what Robbie Rist said, it's being creative. It's another part of me as an actor. I love doing stage. My heart, I love being on stage. And I love every facet of the industry. So, you know, I've always said, if I'm a working actor, that's all that I want to be. And my career has been that, and I hope it continues to. And even right now during the quarantine, I've been fortunate enough to work at home, and it's been really tremendous. I don't know, like I can't even understand it, but just to be positive and to be able to like come into my little studio and be able to check in and work, it's been really, I don't know, I said it was tremendous, but it's been an interesting time, but you know, I'm just so grateful to be creative. And I'm playing a lot more piano, I'm singing more.
Sing us a little something, Melissa.
Oh, come on, Rich.
A little ditty.
Just a little ditty.
I've been practicing Let It Be.
Yeah!
Let me sing it. When I find myself in times of trouble, Mother Mary comes to me. Speaking. I'm nervous of wisdom.
Don't be nervous. You've been on Broadway.
And in my hour of darkness, she is standing right in front of me. There will be an answer. Let it be. Sing with me.
Let it be. Let it be. Let it be. Yeah, let it be. Sing it, Rikki.
I can follow.
There will be an answer. Let it be.
Is this you too?
Yeah, it's me,
Oh.
and it's Melissa. It's the both of us. That's two of us.
Oh,
All of us. I don't know. I messed up all the words.
it's
I
the
wake
Bee
up
Gees,
to
right?
the sound. You want to hear some Bee Gees? I'll give you some. In the event of something happening to me, there is something I would like you all to see.
Not high enough.
Well, you got to
Higher.
be a touch higher.
Oh, he's frozen.
Higher.
It's just a photograph of someone that. Thank you.
We had so many technical difficulties yesterday. Like, I'm very easily susceptible to that joke.
That was beautiful, Melissa.
It really was. Now,
Well,
before we go to questions and comments,
Yes.
you want to plug anything at all that you've been doing, any projects you're working on?
Some kind of joke. Instagram. Some kind of joke.
Kind of joke.
Okay.
Or YouTube. Some kind of joke.
Melissa, is there anything
You
you'd
know
like
what?
to
I can't. I'm not allowed. I've signed like several
okay.
days,
Not
so I'm
disclosure.
not allowed to. But there's some good stuff coming up. I promise.
Okay. Well, we're really excited. Well, then we'll jump just straight into the chat. Okay. And guys, like I said, I will try to read as many as possible. So give me 1 sec. Okay. All right. Okay. So Richard asks, Melissa specifically, which has been your most memorable character that you voiced?
Richard, you asked that question.
No, I'm sorry. Our Richard.
Richard, are you writing questions to us?
Yes. Yes.
What's been my most memorable?
Yeah, character that you've voiced.
Oh man. Yeah, it's a tough one. I mean, I want to say Gaz. That was my most memorable because because it went against the grain of everything I've done vocally. Like it went against, I got to be dark and angry and I got to have attitude and yeah, I mean, and that's I'll say that, but I will say that Edward is
Thank you.
right up there,
Thank
with
God.
Cowboy
Okay.
Bebop. Because,
That was the one I was hoping you'd say.
well, yeah, I mean, she's so effervescent and funny and just such a part of me. And that kooky, fun, sweet side gets to come out. But then, yeah, I mean, Edward and Neptunia also. But yeah, go.
All right, let's see. Okay. Did you base Chaos off of Invader Zim's personality, Richard?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I didn't think Invader Zim was coming back, and I didn't want to waste a good character. So no. Basically, the creators of the game, the Activision for Skylanders, Toys for Bob, were fans of Invader Zim, and so they thought, that kind of attitude. So they're different wants, different characters, but obviously it's my voice. It sounds similar, as opposed to I am Zim. I am Chaos. So there's a little bit different.
I like that.
I am Chaos.
Oh.
Yeah.
Now, Rikki, another question.
Yes,
Was Gur scripted or was it mostly ad-libbed? I'd also be kind of curious.
all scripted.
It was all scripted. Okay.
Oh yeah, all scripted. Yeah, written by Jonan and Eric Trueheart and Rob Hummel and a bunch of other writers. But yeah, there was a script, and I did it. Looking at it.
And then I personally had another question. Is there anything about this life, being in entertainment, that you find kind of not great, or not something you wish were different, that comes as kind of an unnecessary evil when you're as prominent and as famous?
Hold on 1 second. Sorry, everyone. There's some music playing. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. It's all right. No, it's all right. Okay, good.
Okay,
go ahead.
I was asking that, is there anything about this life that you guys lead, being in the limelight, being as famous as the three of you are, that is kind of just like not as great, and kind of something that you wish wasn't a necessary evil to being famous? Now that one was a little bit of a thinker.
Start, Melissa.
Well, you know what? I mean, I'm not. I just want to talk about the business itself.
Yeah.
It teaches you so many lessons. To reveal yourself as an actor, be it a voice actor or stage or film or TV, you're constantly revealing yourself. So you're vulnerable. You have to allow yourself to be vulnerable as an actor. But they're also, with that, you're putting yourself out there. It's not like, I am selling this pen. Oh, you don't like it? Okay, well, he's going to buy another pen. This is me. Like, I'm the product. Richard, Rikki, you're the product. So there's a ton of rejection that you get as a performer that you have to learn throughout your career to get
Yeah, it's a good point. As a matter of fact, because I'm not working now, I'm selling pens. So...
Oh, it's a Richard Horvitz pen!
Yes, there it is. Signed by me.
Horvitz pen?
Signed by me. It's a good one. That's a good one, Melissa. Oh, by the way, Melissa's birthday was last week.
Oh, was it?
Was it?
Same day as Eric Trueheart.
What?
Yeah.
I should have said happy birthday to you.
Yes, you should have.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday to you, Melissa.
Richard texted
Happy
me.
birthday.
You don't look a day over 13.
Thank you.
Rikki, you have a restraining order. Stop that.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
What about the two of you, Richard and Rikki?
Yeah, it's your turn, Richard.
Yeah, if we're going in order of the video.
We're going in reverse order.
Yeah. A downside of the fame aspect. Is that what you mean?
Yeah.
I was talking about just the downside of
The business in general.
Really the business in general, but I mean, fame is kind of something.
I think the hardest part is what Melissa has said, is that you've chosen a life of artistry. You've chosen a life of creativity, and you have really great years sometimes. You have really slow years sometimes, and I guess I don't know if it's a downside, but I mean, the downside of fame is that sometimes there's some people that get a little too stocky, which is not great, a little stalkery, which is never fun. But I agree with Melissa. I think that that it's it's like baseball. You're going to strike out more than you're going to hit usually, and it's like this. You could have 100 auditions, and you're lucky if you book one in that 100. So I guess I'm going to go with X gets the square. Melissa, you're absolutely right. Rikki, your take.
Rikki, go.
Well, I'm not famous. Nobody knows what I look like at all unless they are really into Invader Zim. I just so I go anywhere I want. Nobody goes like Richard. I've been places with Richard, and people are like, "This is summer school guy."
I hate to break it to Rikki, but I mean that's not true anymore. A bunch of people know what you look like now.
Oh no. But you know, every once in a while I go someplace and someone will recognize me, so that's
Yes, they do.
weird. Usually if I go to Little Tokyo in Los Angeles, because a lot of those people are anime fans that hang around the some of those areas, and they're in the Zim and they know what I look like. But yeah, the hard part is just, you know, it's constant work and to get work. So you're working to get work, and then when you do a lot of work to get the work, and you don't always get the work that gives you work. That's the thing. So you know, you have to. But see, I came from both, you know, background acting and comics. Those are both like kind of, for most people, side jobs. And so all of my jobs are side jobs. All of my jobs are side hustles. I was a background painter, comic book artist, comic book writer, you know, background actor. I also was a printing press operator, all these things.
Wow.
So you do all these things just, for me, I do them all so that I'd never have to have an office job, because I can't handle it. The hardest thing about being a colorist was that I went into an office every day at Nickelodeon. Even though it was Nickelodeon, it was great. But getting up at the same time every day, and then going to the same place every day, I feel like I'm going insane after a while. So what I think I like about all of this, creativity, acting, or writing, or drawing, or painting, is that it's chaotic, and I can understand that. I can't understand too much order. But sometimes the chaos spins for so long that now you don't have any order at all. So that
Bless you, Melissa.
That wasn't a sneeze.
Oh.
It was a laugh.
Okay.
Oh.
It was a cute laugh.
He had good.
I laugh like that too.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you guys so much for tuning in to Virtual VisionCon 2020 Day 2. It has been a true honor to interview Rikki Simons, Richard Horvitz, and Melissa Fahn. You guys have anything to say before we sign off here?
Some kind of joke. At Instagram, at some kind of joke.
And hell of a boss if you don't have
Hell of a boss, yes, on YouTube.
I'll be watching, Richard. I'll be watching.
Thank you, Melissa. Happy birthday.
Thank you.
Happy birthday, Melissa.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Melissa. Happy birthday to you.
We'll catch you guys.